Welcome, fellow travelers. It's Mickey Gold. This segment is called Mickey's Golden Nuggets, and I feel like there should be a theme song like Mickey's Golden Nuggets or something like that. What we're going to be doing is just a safety overview of tubing our elastic bands. And this is not a workout. This is not going to tell you how to work out with the tubes. This is just a couple of things that you need to know. Number one, depending on what your tube is made out of, if you are allergic to latex, you might not be able to use your tube. They all come in different kinds of things, but most of the time they're latex. So I do have a tube that, or an elastic that it's got woven material in it. So you can get something like this that you don't have to worry about pretty much most of what I'm going to tell you. Like, for instance, checking for holes and checking for wear, because this thing's probably going to last forever. And it's really nice, and I don't know where I found it, so you might look around and they have different strengths. The other thing to know about tubing is that every manufacturer, I could tell you like, oh, this color is this. No, every manufacturer has a different color scheme as to how intense your tubing is. And there's different kinds of tubing. There is the traditional round tubing. When you get something like this, or flat tubing, which I've knotted, or flat tubing that comes already pre-assembled, you need to look for one for holes. A tiny pinprick, when stretched out, is very dangerous. This can cause snapping and leaving a mark on your skin, and also possibly putting an eye out. So that's the number one thing, is look for wear. You have to inspect these guys every single time. Don't think that you can get past it, because even people who are experienced exercisers, fitness professionals, have made that mistake, and it's very costly, and we just want to avoid it. The other thing is check for your consistency. Remember what it felt like when you first got it. If it starts feeling gummy or icky, then you need to change it out. You want to keep it out of the sun. So have a little bag or somewhere you keep it where it's out of the elements, because some of these things will degrade. And the thing too to think about is if you're using flat tubage, I have this tied, or so, but if you're using flat and you don't have handles to hold on to, you need to make sure your hands aren't sweaty, because you could easily lose your tube. And I have this tied because I was using it for a leg exercise. Now, the other thing to know too is that you can and should have an anchor point with this, meaning you might have a little anchor that is put over the door that you can slide your tube through, that you can use it at different levels and different ways. Because, like, for instance, when we use weights, you have to put your body into a certain position to be able to get certain exercises to work, because there's something called the line of pull. With tubing, you can put the tube in certain positions, and you can use it kind of like cables if you've ever worked out at a gym. So that's one of the advantages of tubing. So what you need to do is, ideally, you don't want to stick this in a door because it's going to degrade it. If you're okay with buying tubes all the time, great, go ahead and do that. But again, check it, but spend the money, get an anchor. And they're really easy to find, generally online, and wherever you get your tubes. And the other thing besides anchor points with doors and putting it under stuff, sometimes you can get stuff where it's flat and you can put it under, if you use a step, or put it under something that makes it easier. The other thing most commonly used is underneath your feet. Now, I would suggest, if you're going to use this under your feet, wear shoes, because it kind of isn't really super comfortable. And make sure it's under your arch. So we don't want it too far forward, too far back, because we don't want it slipping us up and giving us a nasty slap on the back of the thigh. That will give you an absolutely horrible mark, and possibly, depending if it goes forward or back, cause pain. Now, I suggest, like I said, it's uncomfortable if you're barefoot. You know, you can wear socks, but I really like having a shoe under it. And you, again, pay attention to what's on your shoes because, again, you don't want to degrade your tube bit. And with, if you're going to, for instance, use something around your ankles, like doing tube walking, which is really a great exercise. I know I'm not telling you exercises, but it's a good exercise. Wear socks because these guys rubbing on your ankles, no bueno. It doesn't feel super good. So just a few things. That way you can use this safely. Be well. Peace, love, namaste.